Today we will look at distances between 2 points using the Pythagorean theorem. Our essential question is, how can I find the distance between 2 points on a coordinate plane using the Pythagorean theorem? First, let's consider which lengths we can actually count. So if you look at graph 1, you see that the line is following the grid. So we can count 1, 2, 3 spaces between the points, or 3 units. However, on graph 2, we're not following the grid lines, so we don't actually know how long this length is. However, on graph 3, we are once again following a grid line, so we can see there is 1, 2 boxes or 2 units between the 2 points. Since we cannot count the distance between the 2 points on graph 2, we will need to figure out another way to calculate that. So we do this using the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. The diagonal distance between the 2 points is the hypotenuse, and the vertical and horizontal distances are the legs. We are going to substitute the legs for 2 and 3 and solve for c, the hypotenuse, which is the diagonal distance between the 2 points. So in the case of graph 2, we have 2 squared is 4 and 3 squared is 9, and when we add those together, we get 13. So we know c squared is 13, and if we take the square root of that using our calculator, we will get approximately 3.6 units as our diagonal distance. Let's try another one. What is the length of segment AB? Well, the horizontal distance is 6 and the vertical distance is 5. So 5 squared plus 6 squared equals 25 plus 36, which is equal to 61. So c squared is 61, and in order to find our hypotenuse, or our distance, we will need to take the square root, and we get 7.8 units as our length. Now, I want you to pause the video and try problem 2. So you should have gotten that your vertical distance was 4 and your horizontal distance was 6. And when you plug those into the Pythagorean theorem, you should have gotten that c squared is 52, or c is about 7.2. Now let's try number 3. Well, point J is located at -4, -3, and point K is located at 5, 4. Find the distance between point J and point K. Well, first, -4, -3 means left 4, down 3, and +5, +4 means right 5, up 4. And these are our 2 points. Now, let's find our horizontal distance, which is 9, and our vertical distance, which is 7. So we have 9 squared is 81, and 7 squared is 49. And when we add those together, we get 130. So c squared is 130. To find the square root, we need to take the inverse of square, which is square root, and the square root of 130 is approximately 11.4. Now, I'm going to look at problem 5. The distance between 3 parks at Disney World is shown on the grid. If each unit represents half of a mile, what is the smallest distance between Space Mountain and It's a Small World? Well, the horizontal distance between the two is 1 unit, and the vertical distance is 5 units. So let's do 1 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared, or 1 plus 25 is c squared. So c squared is 26. To get c by itself, we need to take the square root of that, which gives us approximately 5.1. Since it's a small world and Space Mountain are separated by half-mile blocks and not full-mile blocks, that means we're going to then need to multiply our distance of 5.1 blocks by the unit, by half a mile. When we do this, we get 5.1 times 0.5 is 2.55. So it's a small world and Space Mountain are 2.55 miles apart. Now, just like we found the distance, I want you to pause the video and try finding the perimeter in number 4. Remember, perimeter means add all four sides together. So we know that to find the horizontal and vertical sides, we just need to count the blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 12 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 17. But to get the last side, we need to make sure we are using our Pythagorean theorem to properly find the distance. So if we plug in 2 squared plus 5 squared, we get 4 plus 25 is 29. And if we take the square root of that, we get about 5.4 as our distance. We can then add this to the blocks we just counted, and we get a total of 22.4 as our perimeter. Try explaining how to find the distance between any 2 points on your own.